If you've ever worked your ass off just to be thrown out like garbage, this story's for you. Hit that subscribe if you believe trash doesn't stay down. He called me trash. Not lazy, not wrong. Trash. And then he fired me. 6 years. I built that warehouse from the ground up. 12-hour nights, no vacations, no complaints. And he tossed me out because I was dating his daughter. Not because I broke a rule, not because I failed at my job, but because he couldn't control her. I remember the way he looked at me like I wasn't even human, like I didn't deserve to breathe the same air as his precious Claire. But what he didn't know was that Claire, she already knew everything. About the fake shipments, about the $1 million insurance scam, about the ghost vendors, the shell companies, the 3 employees who disappeared after asking too many questions. She'd been watching, taking notes, copying files. And that day, she was waiting for me in the parking lot, tears in her eyes, envelope in hand. Inside every piece of evidence we needed to tear down his empire. My box had 6 years of sweat in it. Hers held the detonator. He thought he'd buried me. He didn't know. He just handed me the shovel. He didn't yell. He didn't slam the desk. He just leaned back like it was already done. You're fired. 2 words. 1 smile. And just like that, 6 years of my life ended. I stood in his office holding nothing, not even my pride, just silence, and the sound of a man who thought he'd won. Graham Sinclair, CEO of Averton Logistics, a man with tailored suits, perfect teeth, and 0 soul. He looked at me like I was trash, not a person, just a problem to throw out. I didn't say a word, didn't beg, didn't flinch, because I already knew. He wasn't firing me for my work. He was firing me for my relationship with Claire, his daughter. We'd been careful, private, but somehow he found out, and he made sure the punishment wasn't quiet. He wanted everyone to know what happens when you touch what's his. I walked past the office windows, my team watching in silence. Some looked away, some didn't. They knew, they just couldn't help. Security followed me to the locker room. I packed my things slowly, deliberately. I wasn't rushing. He thought he was ending my story, but he didn't know. Claire had already started writing another one. I wasn't supposed to make it this far. Not with a GED. Not with a father who got laid off from the Ford plant when I was 17. Not in Detroit. I started in the loading docks. Graveyard shift. No air in summer. No heat in winter. Men came and went. I stayed. Every pallet stacked straight. Every log filed clean. Every damn box counted twice. No one noticed me at first. But slowly, the night shift ran smoother. Turnover dropped. Lost inventory 0. That's when management started calling me steady. Never brilliant. Never essential. Just steady. But the guys on the floor, they called me the anchor. They knew I had their backs because I'd been there on the floor sweating beside them. When I got promoted to supervisor, I didn't change. I still punched in early, still stayed late. No shortcuts, no games, just work. And I never expected respect from the top. Not from people like Graham Sinclair, men who thought labor was cheap and loyalty cheaper. But I earned every inch of that title, every scar on my hands, every wrinkle on my boots. So when he called me trash, he wasn't just insulting me. He was insulting every man who ever woke up at 4 a.m. to feed his family. And that's why I didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't break. I wasn't done, not by a long shot. Claire Sinclair was supposed to be untouchable, daughter of the CEO, fresh out of college, accounting degree from Northwestern, a last name that opened doors before she ever knocked. I expected arrogance, entitlement, maybe a fake smile and a voice that dripped money. But what I got was different. She asked questions, real ones, stayed late, took notes, actually listened. She didn't dress like she was above us, didn't talk like she was bored. She sat with the guys in the break room, laughed when someone dropped a full pallet of motor oil. The first time we talked, she asked how the warehouse tracking system worked. I gave her 20 minutes. She stayed 2 hours. The second time, she brought lunch and asked if she could shadow my team. I knew it was trouble. She was the boss's daughter, and I was not. But something about her made it hard to keep walls up. She was sharp, but kind, wary, but honest. And more than anything, She didn't act like her father. Graham Sinclair looked at people like numbers. Claire saw names. Over the next few months, we started having lunch together, talking in parking lots after shifts, sharing notes, and eventually, coffee turned into something more. It wasn't planned, wasn't strategic. It just happened. And once it did, everything changed. Because Claire wasn't just falling for me. She was starting to suspect the man who raised her wasn't who she thought he was. It started small. Claire came to me after a shift, holding a clipboard, eyebrows drawn tight. Do you remember shipment 40,329 inches from the Jefferson terminal? I did, because it was weird. Manifest said full truck, 6 pallets of alternators, but I remember seeing only 4. At the time, I chalked it up to an inventory typo. Happens more than you think. But Claire, she wasn't letting it go. She showed me the internal ledger, then the insurance report, then a signed delivery confirmation. All 6 pallets accounted for. No damages, full payout. That made no sense. If 2 pallets went missing, why was the shipment still marked complete? Why was there a damage claim when there were no notes from the warehouse? We double-checked the footage. That night, I wasn't even on shift. Another manager handled the loadout, but the timestamp. The truck pulled out half empty. Claire bit her lip. That's not the first one, she whispered. Over the next week, she brought me more. Shipment discrepancies, duplicate invoices, payouts that didn't match physical stock. Each one had something in common approved by the same person, her father. That's when she stopped calling them errors. She started calling them what they were. Theft, silent, smart, strategic. And Claire, she was caught in the middle, between the man she trusted and the truth she couldn't ignore. We didn't say the word investigation. Not at first, it was just checking things. Double confirmation, Claire called it. But we both knew. This wasn't curiosity anymore. This was suspicion. She'd sneak into the file room after hours. I'd pull warehouse logs from night shifts. We met in parking lots, late night diners, the back office when everyone else had gone home. We weren't looking for proof. We were drowning in it. Shipping manifests with phantom pallets. Insurance claims filed days before damage reports. Vendors listed in the system but no addresses. No tax ID. No website. We traced one. Northgate Supply, supposedly based in Grand Rapids. But the business address, a UPS store. Claire looked at me. She didn't speak. She didn't have to. This wasn't sloppiness. It was deliberate. Fake vendors, fake damages, real money. We cross-referenced everything. In 1 month alone, 3 separate shipments, $42,000 in insurance payouts, and no actual product loss. I asked her if she had spoken to anyone else. She shook her head. I can't trust the accounting team. Some of them report directly to my dad. We were alone. 2 people against a system, a man who controlled the top and had eyes everywhere underneath. I wanted to protect her, but the more we uncovered, the more I realized she was the one protecting me. And Graham Sinclair, he was watching. He just hadn't struck yet. It started with a question. Over breakfast, Claire said her dad had looked at her funny, asked what she was working on late nights, said it with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Just month-end stuff, she replied. He nodded, didn't press, but something shifted. The next day, warehouse cameras were repositioned. Claire's login history got flagged, and someone from IT asked if she had forgotten to log out of the mainframe. Little things, but they stacked fast. Suddenly, Claire was being looped out of reports she normally saw first. Her access to certain ledgers was revoked. An HR rep pulled her aside. Just a routine review, they said, but asked about her relationship status. At lunch, one of the floor guys warned me. Graham's been asking about you. Not in a good way. Then came the security audit. Warehouse team told to re-verify outgoing loads. With me, out of the loop. I wasn't scheduled anymore. I was rotated off night shifts without warning. Claire's voice cracked when she called me that night. He knows something. I don't know how much, but he knows. I told her to stop digging, to walk away. She said no. If we stop now, he wins, and we have enough to prove it. She was right, but so was I. Because this wasn't just a risk anymore. It was a warning. And Graham Sinclair, he wasn't going to let it slide. Not quietly. He waited until Friday. End of shift. Payroll just processed. Most of the team was still on the floor. Jude stepped into my office. The tone was casual. The setup wasn't. I walked in. 2 people were already there. An HR rep I barely knew, and a security guard I'd never seen. Graham closed the door, then leaned back, hands folded, expression flat. "You're done here," he said. Just like that. I blinked. "Excuse me. You've been manipulating my daughter, using your position to access confidential systems, and I've got evidence." There was no evidence, because none of it was true, but it didn't matter. He didn't need proof, just power. "You're a warehouse guy, Jude. Stay in your lane." He said it with disgust, like my job, my life was dirt under his shoes. HR slid a folder across the table. "Voluntary separation agreement," she said, not looking at me. "If you sign, we won't press charges." Charges. That's when I realized he was setting me up. Make it look like theft. Make me look desperate. Make sure no one believed a word I said. I looked him in the eyes. Didn't blink. Didn't speak. Then stood up and walked out. No yelling. No threats. But I made him one promise in my head. "You just fired the wrong man." She was waiting in the parking lot, next to my truck, eyes red, hands shaking. She didn't speak, just held up a manila envelope. I grabbed what I could. She whispered. I took it. Thick, heavy. Inside photocopies of shipping manifests, invoices, insurance claims, bank records, vendor names we'd never seen before. All of it. All we'd been piecing together, and more. I copied everything before he could delete it. Her voice cracked. "He thinks firing you solves the problem." I looked at her, tears streaming down her face, but her jaw was locked. She wasn't breaking. She was done being afraid. "He's planning something," she said. "Today in his office, he kept asking where I've been logging in from. He knows I've seen too much." I nodded, didn't speak, because I knew what this meant. No more watching. No more collecting. Now, it was war. Claire looked at me, eyes filled with guilt. "This is my fault." "No," I said. "This is his fault, for thinking he could destroy people and walk away clean." She reached for my hand. "What are we going to do?" I looked back at the building, at the windows I used to walk past every night, then at the envelope, and smiled. "We're going to bury him, with his own paperwork." We sat in a diner off I-75, middle of nowhere. Midnight. The envelope lay between us, unopened now, but louder than any conversation. Claire stirred her coffee for the 10th time, didn't drink it. "I can't stop thinking about when I was little," she said. "He used to bring me to the office, show me spreadsheets like they were treasure maps. I stayed quiet, let her talk. I thought he was hard, strict, but fair." She looked out the window. I told myself he worked late to provide for us, that the pressure made him cold, not cruel. She turned back to me. "What if we go public and it destroys him? What if the world only remembers him as a criminal, not as my dad?" I didn't answer right away, because I knew that feeling, when love and truth pull in opposite directions. But I also knew this. Claire, he destroyed me without flinching, and I'm not the first. I slid the envelope closer to her. He's done this before, to others, to people who didn't have a Claire on their side. She stared at it, then at me. I just wanted him to be proud of me. "He will be," I said, "for the first time, for the right reason." Her hands trembled as she picked up the envelope. "I'm not doing this to punish him," she whispered. I nodded. "I know. You're doing it to stop him." Monday morning. My phone lit up with 3 missed calls. 2 from ex-coworkers. 1 from a number I didn't recognize. The voicemail was short. "Jude, they're saying you stole from Averton. Warehouse theft. Fake invoices." Click. I felt my stomach drop. I called back. Voicemail. Called again. No answer. Then an email came in from the company's legal department. Subject: termination clarification and internal investigation. Inside a formal statement: allegations of theft, manipulation of inventory records, abuse of position to falsify shipment data, and it had my name on every page. Claire called seconds later. "He's blaming everything on you," she said, breathless. "He's wiped the logs. Your login shows edits you never made." "How?" "He's got IT in his pocket, and legal's backing him." I sat down, hands cold. "He's cleaning house," she whispered. just like he did before. This wasn't just a smear campaign, it was surgical. They'd painted me as the villain, framed me for the very crimes I was trying to expose. And he wasn't done. He told Peterson you threatened him, Claire added, said you got angry over the relationship, and sabotaged records as revenge. It was genius, twisted, and believable. Because who would they trust? The CEO? Or the warehouse guy who just got fired? For a moment, I felt the ground shift beneath me. Then I looked at the envelope and remembered. The truth still lived in our hands. But if we were going to use it, we had to move fast. I called my cousin Trevor. He worked for the FBI, white-collar division, Chicago office. We hadn't spoken in years, not since Grandma's funeral, but blood's still blood. He picked up on the third ring. Jude, long time, man. You okay? I didn't waste time. I've got a case. Massive insurance fraud, millions involved, and I've got the paper trail. Trevor's voice dropped. This about your old job? Yeah, but it's bigger than that. Shell companies, fake damages. Same guy did this at his previous firms too. He paused. You have documentation. Everything. In my hands. And a witness, his daughter. 10 seconds of silence. Send it to me, now. I'll verify it myself. Claire and I scanned every page. Uploaded everything to a secure drive. Cross-referenced the files. Added a signed statement from Claire. 1 hour later, Trevor called back. Holy hell, this is real. He gave me a name, Patricia Wong, federal prosecutor, Detroit office. Call her. Tell her I sent you. Don't go to local cops. Don't go back to the company. Go federal. He can't touch you there. Claire squeezed my hand. You sure about this? I nodded. We weren't playing defense anymore. We were going to end it. This wasn't just about clearing my name. It was about stopping him before he did it to someone else again. Time was running out, and Graham Sinclair had no idea we were coming. Monday morning, 8:45 a.m. Claire and I sat across from Patricia Wong, federal building, downtown Detroit. She didn't smile, didn't small talk, just flipped through our files, one page at a time, reading in silence. When she finished, she looked up. This is enough for federal indictment. Wire fraud, insurance fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering. She picked up the phone. I'm calling for a warrant. We move on his office and home today. Claire's hand was ice cold in mine, but her voice was steady. He's got a flight booked for tomorrow, Miami. Wong nodded. Then we'll be early. By noon, it was done. Federal agents swarmed Averton Logistics, conference rooms, server rooms, personal office. They cuffed Graham mid-meeting. The whole floor watched as the man who once called me trash got walked out in silence. Hands behind his back, eyes wide with disbelief. He looked across the street and saw me. No words. Just that moment. Him realizing I didn't just survive. I buried him. The news hit by evening. Local TV, then national. CEO arrested in multi-million-dollar fraud scheme. Claire watched it unfold on her phone. Silent. Tears running. But not sadness. Relief. Her father had built a kingdom on lies. We had burned it down with the truth. And for the first time in weeks, we could finally breathe. 3 months later, life looked different. I wasn't back at Averton. Didn't want to be. But the truth was out. My name cleared. My record wiped clean. Federal court sentenced Graham Sinclair 15 years. The judge didn't hold back. Abuse of trust. Systematic deception. Destruction of innocent careers. Thomas Grady, the fake vendor contact, 5 years reduced for testimony. Averton issued public apologies to everyone falsely accused. Offered me a promotion to return. I said no. I had found something better. A new job at Ridgepoint Freight. Smaller, cleaner, real. My new boss. She read my entire file, then shook my hand. Anyone who exposes a millionaire and lives to tell it is someone I want running my ops. As for Claire, she didn't just survive. She transformed. Took a role at a nonprofit investigating corporate fraud, helping whistleblowers speak out. She visited her father once, just once. Came back quiet, didn't say much. Only this, he's still blaming everyone but himself. We didn't talk about him after that. Didn't need to, because the past was over, and we were still standing. Stronger, smarter, cleaner. Sometimes revenge looks like headlines. Sometimes it looks like handcuffs, but the best kind. is the one that clears your name and lets you sleep again. There's a moment after revenge where everything is quiet. No more tension, no more planning, just silence. And in that silence, you ask yourself, was it worth it? For me, yes. Not because Graham ended up behind bars, but because I stood up when it mattered. I lost a job, but I kept my name. I lost a future at one company, but I gained something better. Integrity. Claire and I, we didn't just take him down. We learned who we were when everything was at stake. She could have looked away, pretended not to see. I could have disappeared, started over somewhere else. But instead, we faced it. Together, not out of anger, but because people like Graham count on silence. They expect fear. They bank on shame. And the only way to stop them is to speak louder than their lies. If you've made it this far in the story, thank you. If it stirred something in you, a memory, a feeling, a name, then maybe this wasn't just our story. Maybe it's yours too. So if you believe in truth, in justice, that doesn't need to scream. Stick around. Subscribe. Because we're just getting started. Not every story ends with handcuffs. Some villains walk free. Some whistleblowers stay silent. Some truths never make the news. But that doesn't mean they didn't happen. And it doesn't mean we stop fighting. Because silence is how people like Graham survive. They thrive in shadows. Count on no one speaking up. But what if more of us did? What if we chose courage over comfort? If this story reminded you of something, a boss, a betrayal, a buried truth, then don't carry it alone. Share it, talk about it, speak the name. And if you believe these stories matter, real people, real justice, hit that subscribe button. We're building something here. A space for truth, one voice at a time.